My name is Suzette Shaw.
Awesome. And what brings you here today?
So I am a Skid Row resident, and I write, talk, and advocate Skid Row from a woman's perspective. And I understand that these young ladies had some questions for me, so I'm happy to be here.
With a population of 10 million, Los Angeles County is bigger than most U.S. states. 36,000 people are homeless in the city of Los Angeles. Countywide, the homeless population jumped by 12% in 2018 to nearly 59,000 people. In the 2016-2017 school year, there were also 17,258 homeless students in the Los Angeles Unified School District. Homelessness disproportionately affects Black people in LA. Though only 9% of LA County's total population is Black identifying, Black people make up about 36% of the county's homeless population, according to the 2018 homeless count. The majority of women on Skid Row are Black women, many of whom are 50 and over. Approximately 91% of women on LA's Skid Row have experienced domestic violence or sexual assault. Unhoused Black women and girls across sexuality are especially vulnerable to criminalization, policing, and sex trafficking, factors that are fueled by misogynoir or anti-Black misogyny, sexism, and victim blaming.
Hello, my name is Kyra Kellamoting, and I am a 2019 graduate of Gardena High School.
Hello, my name is Imani Moses. I am a 25-year-old Black woman. I currently work at Cal State Long Beach as a library administrative assistant, and I also am an entrepreneur, so I do a lot of side things that I'm very passionate about.
My name is Ecclesia Clay Wesley, and I am a Gardena High School alumni. I'm also an alumni for the Women's Leadership Project, which I am also currently working for as program coordinator. I also work at United Friends of the Children, which helps work with foster youth, transitional housing services. And I'm also a poet, writer, motivational speaker, and a jack of all trades.
When I was around 9 years old, my mother and some of her friends and her daughter and family, we lived in this house that was my grandmother's. And we lived it was a very old house, but we ended up getting evicted. And after we got evicted, everybody kind of separated and parted their ways, but it was so surprising. It kind of came out of nowhere because we had been fighting this, battle of trying to not get evicted and trying to keep the house that we had all these years. Everybody grew up in, and it just was surprising. We didn't expect it, but when it happened, we kind of had to everybody had to separate, and it was just me and my mom. And I remember we slept in hotel rooms. And this happened in Compton. It was hotel rooms. It was one by the freeway by this Carl's Jr. And then until we could eventually find a place to stay that was with my cousin. But we ended up not living there that long because of some family complications and miscommunication. And for a certain period of time, I remember us sleeping in the car in front of the house that we got evicted in, because we still had the keys to the gate in front of it. And so we kind of backed into the garage in the front of the house, and we just stayed there for a night and kind of drove around and stuff to figure out what to do, because my mom, just me and her, and she didn't want me to be sleeping in the car or having to go to school or whatever. So that was my experience. And after that, we went back to my cousin's house, and then we eventually got an apartment and stuff, and things got a little bit better as far as not being homeless and having a place to stay, and for my mom to be able to provide a roof over our heads.
The circumstance that caused me to be homeless is I had nowhere to go. I was staying somewhere. It was time for me to leave, and a part of me knew something was going to happen. Like, I knew my life was going to change in a very significant and drastic way. I just didn't know how, and I didn't know when. But luckily, I was prepared mentally and financially as well. So when I became homeless, it was literally 2 days before I started my last semester of college, because I was finishing up my bachelor's degree at Cal State Long Beach. And I was stressed out of my mind, but I was like, okay, we have to make this happen. So in the beginning, I was kind of like bouncing from place to place. I was kind of staying at a relative's house, and my life was unstable. I was in a mentally, emotionally stable place, and my main focus was me graduating from college. Like, this is everything I've dreamed of. This is my home stretch. And I'm like, there's no way that I could just let this opportunity pass me by. I didn't want to prolong my graduation. I wanted to be done because I knew that I was ready and it was time. So I ended up sleeping in my car. I was sleeping in my car, and to be honest with you, the first time I slept in my car, I was so happy. I was grateful that I can be in a space where I can control my environment. I was in a place of peace, and I didn't have to worry about hearing me doing anything wrong, being in anyone's way, causing anybody any trouble, or just being an inconvenience to people. So I didn't tell anybody that I was homeless. As a matter of fact, I had only told one person, which is my friend, Claire Garrido Ortega. She was actually my, excuse me, she was my teacher, my mentor, and she is my friend as well. And she supported me. She asked me, what do you need? And I told her, and she told me about the basic needs program, and she also told me about the basic needs program on campus, which allows students who are homeless to have somewhere to stay for a little while. And at that moment, I told her I didn't need it right now, like I would just wait. So during that process, I had applied for housing 3 times. The first time I didn't get in for whatever reason. I believe it was because other people's needs were more severe, significant than mine. And I said, that's okay, that's fine, I understand. And that's the same thing that happened the second time. And so I was like, okay, I'll wait. The third time I applied, I got it, and I really needed it at that time. So I was staying on campus for about a month, and I had got a little bit of an extension. And I ended up finding a place to stay maybe a week or 2 before I needed to leave. Like, everything was just, it was back to back. Like, it worked out. It was perfect timing, to be honest. So that was just a little bit about the process of me applying for housing and getting assistance at Cal State Long Beach.
So my experiences really had to do with not really even understanding what homelessness meant, because I really I didn't come into homelessness understanding that, like, quote unquote, oh, I'm homeless, and that, oh, like, there's a difference. There's all types of categories of homelessness according to governmental standards and so forth. Chronically homeless, the difference between couch surfing, somebody living in their car as opposed to somebody, sleeping on someone else's couch, and and somebody changing from living on the streets to maybe somebody living at a mission and living in a safe house. So there are a lot of different things that actually have been, have really changed my whole position, because they made a lot of differences in how I ended up getting housed and how I did not get housed initially, and how the system then further exacerbated the trauma that I was already going through.
So I was in a 2-parent home. We were staying in our Hollywood apartment for so many years, and my mother became sick. She eventually went into the hospital and never came home. After that happened, my father, trying to get everything back in order, literally could not, and we lost our home. We became homeless for about 4 years of my life. It was very, what is the word I'm looking for? Unstable. We literally stayed in homeless shelters, transitional housing, hotels, anything that you can name. We were going through that transition, and I eventually ended up in foster care. Once entering foster care, I was still in school at this time. I had gone to 4 different middle schools due to the unstableness during the homeless time, and getting into foster care made things a little more stable for me. When I got into care, I had a few homes that I had been in. They were definitely not the best, but through that transition and attending Gardena High School, I was able to get connected with Women's Leadership Project. Before that happened, my father was killed, so I never got the opportunity to go back home. And after my father was killed, I was still in foster care until I aged out of the system around the age of 20, 21. And during that transitional housing transition, and still being in foster care, it was definitely a wild ride.
Walking down the street, homeless or not, is just, I feel like it shouldn't be, but it is very scary, because there are people who are not, it's just not, they say things are not appropriate, and there's just like they're predators, and it's scary, because you just walking down the street as a Black girl, and you just walking down the street, got somewhere to go, and you just headed, focused, and somebody can say something that's inappropriate, like, where you going? Why are you looking like that? Smile, come here, do this, do that. And it's very scary, because, if I was a male who was lighter skinned, I don't think anybody would be saying something, what you doing? They wouldn't be like, come over here. And then let's say if I was a Black male, they'd still be scared of me. It's like no way to escape it. But it's very like inhumane, I would say, because you shouldn't look at somebody and then have this thought and then have the action off that thought you had. Like we all judge people and think stuff about people, but it's when you go and you say, oh, she's a Black girl, oh, she's short, oh, she got her arms out, oh, she got on, some not jeans, she got on a skirt, oh, let me go and, say something to her, or let me go and try to get her attention, or let me go try to offer her some money because she's standing on the corner. She could be waiting for her Uber, she could be waiting for her mom to pick her up, going to work, doing whatever, but just because I see her on the corner, I'm going to offer her some money and tell her to get in my car. I feel like that's very, disrespectful, and it's scary to live in this world and have so many things to be afraid of just because your skin color is very dark. Like, it's just, I think that's a very, it's real, and I believe it should be taught. I mean, you shouldn't have to teach your kids this, but you need to teach your kids that when you go out in the streets, just be careful, keep something with you. Not saying that something's going to happen to you, but you always have to be prepared, because you don't know what's going on in this other person's mind. What are they thinking about? They could be strung out on drugs. They could be perfectly normal to the eye, but people, they do what they want, and everybody doesn't also get charged the same way. So it doesn't matter if it's a Black male or if it's a white male or if it's a white woman or a Black woman. Like, it's a difference on the way that they're going to be charged, especially if their skin tone is darker and if their judge is not, feeling them, per se. But yeah, I just feel like it's a serious issue that people don't talk about enough, whether you're homeless or not, but it's just, we need help out here.
So just so you understand that Black women are the #1 demographic who are disproportionately disadvantaged into poverty and homelessness, not just year after year, but decade after decade, literally. The numbers continue to go up drastically every single year. And Black middle-aged elderly women are also the #1 demographic. Now, there are a lot of cultural ills that also interplay in how we end up being marginalized by society that continues to keep us marginalized and keep us oppressed. Some of those ills have to do with the fact of the lack of opportunities to quality education, the lack of opportunities to sustainable employment, the lack of opportunity to wages, the fact that we're continually lowest on the wage scale, and we're normally the last one to be hired and then the first one to be fired. Domestic violence is one of the cultural ills, intergenerational trauma. These are some of the HIV/AIDS epidemic, sex trafficking. These are some of the cultural ills that continue to plague us while also blaming and pathologizing who we are.
I would say go get help. I would say find someone who is close to you, who you know, who you can truly trust, and try to use all your resources. And I say that because I did not do that. There have been people who have told afterwards that I was homeless, and they were upset that I didn't say anything. And I'm like, this is my life, this is my story, this is my journey. And I've been through a lot to where I've been disappointed by people, and I didn't want to be a burden to someone. I didn't want anybody to tell me no. So just finding a safe person. I would definitely say find a safe person and know that there are people out there who want to help you. No matter if you have 1, 2, or 10, it's really about having a village. And I can definitely say I had a village at Cal State Long Beach because that's mostly where I got all my resources from. And there were just people in different pockets at Cal State Long Beach who helped me or were thinking of me or looking out for me. Once they found out a little bit more, and even before, they've always been a resource to me. So I just always make sure I came back. But please go ask someone, find help from someone, no matter who it is, and just tell someone and look up resources.
So I always wanted to give back to people. I always knew that something was wrong, and I didn't actually have like the background of the education or like a Pan-African upbringing or anything like that, but it's like you kind of don't need a book to know that something is going wrong. As I got older and I got a little more educated, I understood that we were fighting like historic systemic like inequalities that are producing like the inequitable conditions that we're living in. So it's like all of this is that way for a reason, and I do want to provide relief, but at the same time it's like I want to be a resource for my people to prevent the problems. Like I don't want my career to be based off of other people's problems. I don't want them to have these issues anymore.
And just can you tell us about some of the work that you do?
Yeah, so I provide educational resources, food, we do community cleanups, anything revolving around making sure that my people are straight, I do. So if that's showing up for something, or if that's donating toys, if that's donating school supplies, if that's telling somebody where they can get a certain amount of help, or helping somebody enroll in school, like we participate in that. Myself have been living place to place for a long time. I have my own issues at home, and I love my mother to death, but just some things, well, I'm just skip past that, but I just know that I thank God for the people that I've come across, because I know it's very easy for young girls, especially I'm sorry, I emphasize black people, but it's especially black girls, to get lost in this system. Sometimes you're 16 and you need somewhere to go, and sometimes there's somebody behind you like, if you want to stay here, you have to sleep with me. There's a lot that comes with young women being on the streets. It's like if they don't sell their bodies, then they have to worry about being tainted, touched, or taken. Honestly, it's a different experience opposed to being a man. It's a different type of struggle, and it's very delicate. I think it's important to me, especially to touch black women, because I've come so far and I've accomplished so much, but I know where I could be. And if the right people didn't catch me, take me, and guide me, I would probably be maybe somewhere strung out on drugs or selling myself, or dead, raped, abused, and dead. Because I feel like when it comes to women on these streets, there's a lot of abuse we don't speak about for whatever reason, and I think that's one of the multiple ways black women are abused. Some responsibility can be due to self, but I just think it starts with our systems. There are a lot of young girls, especially young girls who come from foster systems, who end up on Skid Row. I know at least 4 of them that I've met here. So like, all in all, protect black women and protect all women. And I feel like if girls had the resources to avoid these kind of environments, I think that would make a difference. And not like fake group homes or in between housing and women's homes that take in these girls and get money and don't give a fuck, but real housing that gives girls a place to grow and to learn and to become who they're supposed to be. I want people to learn that it's not about, it's like we're so angry about things, and we should be, but I just want them to know, like, it's really about love. And I know that sounds corny, but it's like, if you take care of your people, if you take care of your community, if we take care of each other, like, so much can change, and with love, so much can grow. And so I feel like love is the start of everything we do. I want people to learn that this is not like that by accident. Some things are our fault, some things were set up that way by design. You know, there's a reason why you're working 40 to 80 hours a week and you can't afford your rent. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why your brother and your sister have been locked up for minuscule things. And I just want them to learn and know that as long as we're taking care of each other and we're putting in the work to make sure that we're good, as long as we are, you know, buying back our cities and pouring into our cities and pouring into each other, everything is going to be okay. I want to tell people that my foundation is more than a nonprofit. It's a preventative resource, and the more we grow, the more organizations we come in contact with, the more people we are able to touch, like, the better we'll be. And I just want them to know that we have so much more to come, so many more opportunities, housing resources, and it's just a matter of time before we get the futures and the opportunities that we deserve.